My background, I've got 20 plus years in the Royal Air Force doing a myriad of different jobs.
So 88% of companies around the world use some form of AI in their HR process. More than 60% of companies use generative AI in the workplace as it is, okay, within the workplace, not in a specific functional sector. 65% of these generative AI users are millennials, Gen Z, the people coming into the workplace and now have the longevity within the workplace. And out of those 65%, 52% of them trust the technology to help them make informed decisions. 72% of leaders believe that AI are going to take over some of the jobs within their organization. And since 2020, we have seen that rapid uptake of digital and technology within the workplace.
Why have we seen this sort of technology that's been around since probably the early 2000s now, and that rapid shift to digital post-2020? And a term called VUCA, which has been around since the 1980s, but has become really prominent as digital. The whole world now is so complex and complicated that it's like having somebody called it a 3D chessboard where all the pieces are connected by rubber bands. And that's having a big impact. And that's why we're seeing the lowest engagement levels across the workplace in the last 9 years. And that means you've got 80+% of people disengaged in the workplace. And 19% of those are actively sabotaging the work going on. Ellie mentioned today this Raw workshops, and throughout Raw 23, we're seeing a lot of the focus on the workshops that you can see here.
Future jobs. What were the things that were going to be needed within the workplace and for people to get ahead and do what's needed? And in 2020, it was critical thinking and analysis. So, we need to be doing this. And the World Economic Forum said in 2025 that these are going to be the most sought after skills. Well, actually, we're seeing that right now.
And what that normally shows, and we won't give it away, but what normally it shows is that 70% of the things that could bring your company down. And as we look outside, going back to that cosh of speed that we're all under, that metric that all executives focus on, how fast are we going? We see these little dogs as once annoying, but now a threat because there's many of them. And it only takes 5 of them to take a 10% market share, and we've lost 50% of the business. Instead, what we should be doing is looking at our big 4 lumbering feet, because one of those foot goes in the wrong area, one misplaces, and the whole thing comes crashing down. And the leader there of what is called the 10th man, the Israeli Red Team, he says the problem with most people is that they don't believe something can happen until it already has. And our cognitive biases, both conscious and unconscious, are what are affecting how we think, how we behave, how we believe, and how we operate on a day-to-day basis.
Oh, I'll stop doing this. And you can play a really good game of bias bingo, which we often do in meetings, play one, play for all, the team. What are you seeing coming through on these people?
And then if we can be aware, having recognized them, we can understand how to address them. And you do that collectively as a group to be most impactful. You hear organizations talk about big bets. Bigger the bet, the bigger the risk, but you have to take it in a calculated way. So think about it in your organization. Are you allowing people to think, to re-energize that old way of thinking that they had as a child, that mini scientist, that little curious individual? Are you allowing that in your workplace and enabling your people to engage? Because the stats will say that you're not. Over 80% are disengaged. And what we've seen in all of our organizations we've worked with is that if you do and focus these 3 C's, you can manage risks a lot easier.
And one of the things that humans are really, really good at, and us as native English speakers, our language is confusing to anybody that's trying to learn it.
So if we train our people to apply critical thinking, what do we get from that, Ellie?
So all those introverts that hardly ever get a chance to speak because there's an alpha in the room that's taking a conversation one way, or somebody that's got a vested interest in the outcomes is taking it another way.
Let people have the opportunity to speak freely, to share these things and talk about it and discuss it. And you will be surprised what comes out. And then when we start to look at it, what we often tend to do is leap to solutionizing. They believe that the effective process in the background is working, and they understand that once we've done these 3, you're going to come back for more because you've got more recommendations, and you have this conveyor belt of great suggestions, and Toyota call it Kaizen, continuous improvement.